So, good morning to you all. Esteemed Professor Prem Broth, Vice Chancellor and Professor of Eminence, ITM University. Dr. Akhilesh Gupta, Secretary UGC, and my friend Dr. Ali Sher. I call him as Ali Sher. Ali Sher has a different connotation. I'll tell you after the session is over. For this, as a co-panelist, ladies and gentlemen, it is my proud privilege to be here in this World Education Summit and sharing some of our experiences related to bridging barriers moving towards education for all. In fact, I am extremely grateful to Dr. Ravi Gupta for his kind invitation, and I know that he has been a good friend, and for so many years we have been associated and we have been working together, learning from each other's experiences. I must congratulate the digital learning for putting such a platform and sharing some of these experiences. My topic of discussion will be basically on open educational resources, which is more closer to the heart of the digital learning, I presume, and whatever its role towards the education for all. While I choose this topic, I thought that globally the open educational resources has been taking a great momentum, and we must pace ourselves with this particular resource material or particular approach for improving quality in education. Friends, thanks to Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, which has made a huge dent in the field of school education in the country in terms of access to education. But that doesn't remain the major core concern now. The major concern has been the quality of education. We have enacted a law, Right to Education. All of you are familiar with it. And Right to Education gives that right to every child to have a good quality education, a reasonable quality education. We have, in fact, after the enactment of this Act, Right to Education Act, by the Indian Parliament, and 3 years time was given, which just elapsed on 31st March, recently, 31st March 2013, where the infrastructure, everything was to be placed. And we have another 2 more years to ensure that the entire quality issues are also addressed. So the topic which has been taken up for this particular summit is very important when we will be planning for quality enhancement in our school education sector. In that context, I thought that when so many things are happening everywhere, why can't we build a kind of a network in the context of India? And that is the reason why I thought of putting this before you as a movement of open educational resources. And thanks to Ali Sir, he is familiar with that. UNESCO recently has brought a declaration by all its member countries putting the open educational resources as a movement in their respective nations. So my presentation will be basically based on what is this open educational resources as such. I'm sure all of you must be familiar with. And also in the context of enhancing the quality of learning, how it should work, and what little bit we have been doing from the open schooling sector, being a premier open distance learning institution, as Professor Prem Broth pointed out. I would like to bring to your kind attention to this statistics, which is very eye-opening for all of us. When I look at the open distance learning system, there are 97 million children who are now eligible for secondary and senior secondary education. All of you are familiar that there is a Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhijan program has been launched by Government of India to bring these people to the fold of secondary education system to complete their education cycle. And this has also put a pressure, the Education for All, and also RTE, Right to Education Act, has put pressure on secondary education. But do you have that much of infrastructure to accommodate these 97 million of children who are waiting for secondary education? In fact, the CAB committee, Centrally Advisory Board in Education, as well as Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhijan, has envisaged that 15% of the children should be channelized through the open distance learning system, particularly in the open schooling system. And this 15 million comes to something like around 12 million. And this has been also targeted in 12th five-year plan as well, which is recently just 1 year old. And the present capacity of this 12 million target group, which we are supposed to cater as open distance learning system at the school level, are something like around 4 million, 2 million with national open school, and 2 million with the 17 state open schools. So we have still a gap of 8 million. How should we reach? And major problem has been, and these are the children who mostly drop out at various stages of their education, though we say that all the children will complete their elementary education cycle by 2000, from 6 to 14 age group. It is the responsibility of the state, responsibility of the nation to provide opportunity to all children under the Right to Education Act, bring them to the school, be he or she residing in rural area, urban area, street children, children in the platform, or whatever it may be, or children with the disability, multiple disability, whatever it may be. So these are the people, we have to create opportunities for all of them to ensure that they complete their elementary cycle of education. But still, we find that a huge number of, there are something like around 40% children after 8th standard, they drop out from the school education system. And how to meet their educational aspiration? So we have to create a safety net for this disadvantaged group or dropouts to complete their education cycle up to the secondary level. In fact, I wanted to give some inputs to you how this movement has taken place in the open schooling context. And National Open School is one institution which is one of the 3 boards, central boards of Government of India. You all are familiar with CBSE, ICSE, and third board is the National Institution of Open Schooling. It is developing the learning resources. They should develop the good quality learning resources, and their training is essential. Also, collaborative efforts in creating learning resources. The learning resources available even Northeast or southern part of India or elsewhere, all this should be put together into a particular platform. Or even the Google is there. Nowadays, our children are also learning through Googles. Just you go and search the learning resources. Are they not free materials which are available or accessible to our children? Then why institution per se should not do it? And storing and sharing the best practices. There are many things, good things are happening, but people are not getting to know about it. And process of customizing learning resources, creating scientific method and research base for development of learning resources. All these learning resources, whatever is being developed, should be based on certain elements of research and meeting the diversified needs of the heterogeneous target groups. In fact, India, anything which is cannot be developed in a standardized manner, cannot be given, cannot be delivered in a standardized manner. In the open schooling context, the Commonwealth of Learning, which is a intergovernmental organization of Commonwealth countries, it had in fact taken 17 secondary selected subjects and under the Common Licensing Agreement, which popularly known as CC by SA, And this 17 secondary school curriculum are available under the Commonwealth's website. Anybody just can download and use it. And these are the 6 countries which had taken initiative, like Namibia, Botswana, Lesotho, Seychelles, Trinidad, Tobago and Zambia. Across the globe, they have developed this material. You can also look at those materials, download it, use it. It doesn't have any problem related to copyright. Prime objective is to increase accessibility to quality materials for school education, as I said in the beginning. And teachers instructor guidebooks are developed in 5 subjects, how to use this OER as well. Currently available on CD-ROM, as well as recently it has been uploaded on the website of the Commonwealth of Learning. If you go and search, you will get the inputs as well. And there is a Commonwealth Open Schooling Association. Incidentally, I was heading this Commonwealth Open Schooling Association, and through this association, we have taken the lead in developing the open educational resources. NIS course, Open Courseware, where what we have done, just I thought that I must bring to your kind notice. All our print-based materials, we have put it in the, both secondary and senior secondary are available on a download format on web. Anybody can download it. Absolutely no problem. All our print materials, whatever so far we have produced, whether it is secondary, senior secondary, even vocational also. Some of the vocational, almost 200 hours of video programs, we have put it in YouTube. Anybody can download it. Almost 400 of our audio programs are available on the website and for the public use. Recently we have started a Mukt Vidya Vani, which is an internet-based audio streaming of the program, and what I feel, this is an interactive audio program, Mukt Vidya Vani, we have been doing every day along with the children, means having a live counseling, live tutoring facilities, and also online support through U-tutoring as well. NIS as a premier institution, we have taken the lead in developing the open educational resources in 3 subject areas in vocational field, particularly on computer and IT, tourism and hospitality management and rural technology. These materials, I request you, all of you, you can go to the NIS website, you'll get, if you click the OER, you'll get into this one. These are the materials which are self-directed, self-invented material, and in a collaborative platform we have developed. And I request that all of you, if you get time, look at those things, give your feedback to it. If any of you would like to use it also, can use it. Absolutely no problem. So our approaches has been that we have followed a kind of a consortium approach in developing the learning material. As I said, it is a arena of collaboration and cooperation. No single institution can do it. We have taken the help of many institutions. As you see, this is a pilot project we started with, there is iConsent in Maharashtra, Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited, Homi Bhabha Center for Science Education, Bigyan Ashram, there is a NGO, and Maharashtra State Institute of Hospitality Management. These are the institutions which has been collaborating in and including NIS, collaborating in developing these learning resources. Of course, this is based on the Web 2 technology, and this has been found very useful. And what we are planning now, that develop a LMS and offer it online, so that for the learning purpose, the student need not have to, for the course material purpose, need not have to pay. They have to pay only for the certification. This is what we are thinking now. We are in the process of doing, and maybe by July we should be the platform will be created, and we are using modules particularly for this LMS, as I said. And material development we have done in a workshop mode, of course, and expert feedback, all these things we have received, and quality assurance has been a major concern for all of us, and deployment and deployment of the course are using dedicated server. All these things we have been doing. In fact, of course, these are the things I don't want to discuss. There are many challenges, many issues. In Government of India, through Paris Declaration of 2012 on the OER, it says that free licensing, free, open source, all these things are to be done. We are yet to develop a policy in Indian context. I am sure that definitely government will take a proactive proactive role in making that learning resources, whatever is developed, and particularly the institutions which are government institutions creating learning resources with public money should be available to public. This should be the basic approach followed, and I am sure this is what is going to happen. Thank you very much.